On today's episode, I talk about faking it until you make it, when it works and how it works, but also the other side, when we're using labels to validate ourselves. So on this episode, I wanted to talk about the phrase, fake it until you make it, and because I think there's a couple of areas that are kind of interesting. I want to take kind of the backlash against some of the people who've been talking about fake it till you make it, particularly Amy Cuddy, who put a fantastic TED Talk video out just explaining how much our bodies can influence our emotions. And then it's about the backlash of how people can get concerned that the fake it part is a bit too much of a fake, too much of bravado. So to give you a background, the fake it till you make it is a kind of a thesis or an idea that I certainly applaud and certainly encourage, because basically the idea is that your emotions, how you feel, then kind of transforms how you may move, how physiologically, how you breathe, how you stand, the way you look. All your body is not separate from your mind. When you're feeling a certain way, the body will respond. So our bodies are very able to kind of read the emotions and then adopt a behavior which best suits those feelings. And that was very much at the core of Amy Cuddy's work, and I think it's totally viable. I think it's a great way to kind of realize what the brain does to the body. But what she was saying was that actually we can reverse this, or kind of engineer it backwards, by actually taking the posture that is, say, dominant or confident or not scared, and that body posture, or the breathing as well, will begin to create the emotions back up the chain. So rather than the emotion stimulating the physical change, the body, the breathing, the body can stimulate the emotion, so it goes back up. So the point being is, it's really fascinating work how the body can actually inform the emotions, and why power poses or that kind of fake it until you make it does work. The backlash to that has been very much about over faking it, and what I mean by that is where we are faking too many things which are grandiose or bravado, and we can fall into the trap of going beyond, say, the Amy Cuddy work and going into the idea of saying that we are something when we are not. You don't have the credentials to back up the label. That's where people get a little more upset, where we're over faking things, where we're trying to create credibility by using fake labels, or labels which aren't actually accurate. So the fake it till you make it gets a bit distorted, and we start thinking, actually, whilst Amy Cuddy's work is spot on, and I certainly applaud it, it's also the other side where people take it too far when they are labeling themselves things that they currently aren't. They may aspire to them, and I get on the end of that as well that some people like the idea of setting the goal and putting a stamp on, saying I'm not now but I will be. But we as humans are very good at noticing incongruity when things aren't 100% right. Now, what do I mean by that? It's simply, if for example you looked at a picture on a wall and you notice it's a little skew, if it's not exactly dead centered or straight or whatever, or dead level, but when you go to measure it, it's probably only a millimeter or half a millimeter out. It's a very small adjustment, but yet our eye picks up on it in a very specific way. And it's the same when we interact with people and we don't fully believe that they are as credible or as authentic as their propositioning. So we can sense that incongruity within people, and it's about noticing that. So I'm a huge proponent for the fake it till you make it, but I'm also one to notice when people aren't congruent in who they are, when they address labels or put labels against them. So what you can take from this is to be reminded that to feel a certain way about yourself or a situation is often to adopt the pose, to mimic, to copy a confident person. And there's other videos I've done about this, but it's a great reminder. And then just to clarify, it stops at the point when we're using it as labels to define ourselves, when they aren't credible or authentic, when we are incongruent to that label we're putting on us. So as a conversation point, I hope you got some value from that, and as ever, I hope you're doing super well wherever you are, and I'll catch you next time.